everyone, it's Katrina. Number 10. Pyramid alignment. Just about everything about the Great Pyramids of Giza is mysterious, from the construction techniques to the purpose of the ancient monuments. Strange hidden chambers have been discovered in recent years, and bizarre voids that scientists can't explain. But there is one thing they are desperate to solve, and that's the secret of the pyramid's perfect alignment. Scientists have never been able to figure out how the three structures became so perfectly aligned with one another and with the universe itself. For example, the Great Pyramid of Khufu, the biggest of them all, has square sides measuring 455 feet. Each side is straight as a ruler and aligned perfectly with the 4 cardinal points of the compass. Archaeologist and engineer Glenn Dash says the architects of the pyramid designed it to be within 1/15th of 1 degree accurate. The pyramid points north, south, east, and west with perfect precision. But how did the ancient Egyptians achieve such an amazing feat of engineering 4,500 years ago? They didn't have drones or computers, and they had no way to accurately pinpoint the proper alignment. However, they did have the stars. Most experts believe the Egyptians used the equinoxes and solstices and the movements of the sun and stars to align their pyramids. Either that, or they somehow had access to unknown knowledge and technology. Number 9. The mermaid. The skeleton of an ancient mermaid was unearthed in Bulgaria. At least that's what the story claims. According to news outlets, an ancient skeleton of a mermaid was found near Sozopol Beach by a man named Professor Dimitrov. The skeleton was dated to the days before the Great Flood, which supposedly washed away most life on the planet 8,000 years ago. However, most mainstream archaeologists believed this story to be fake. They discovered that the alleged mermaid skeleton was nothing more than a human skeleton from an archaeological dig in Ireland that was photoshopped to have a fish's tail. And that brings us to our next story, the mysterious mummified mermaid with a human face, which is said to be 300 years old. This creature is very real, at least in the sense that it physically exists. The mermaid was allegedly caught off the coast of Japan sometime between 1736 and 1741. It's currently kept in the sacred Anjuin temple in the Japanese city of Asakuchi. The specimen has the frowning face of a human, pointy teeth, 2 hands, and a fish-like lower half. Scientists from the Kurashiki University of Science and Arts say the creature has been worshipped at the temple for decades. People even prayed to it during the coronavirus panini in hopes that it would fix the situation. It's not likely that the creature is a mermaid, but it's possible that it was stitched together using a bunch of mismatched animal parts to make it look like one. The question remains, could mermaids have really existed? Scientists don't know for sure, but the possibilities are endless. And now for number 8. But first, I want to give a big shout out to Berenice for this super thanks. This is so helpful for us to keep making more videos and creating more fun things for everybody. So big thank you to Berenice. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe and join us for more videos about mysterious discoveries and strange history. Number 8. Aliens at the baptism of Jesus. There is an ancient painting that some believe proves aliens were present at the baptism of Jesus Christ 2,000 years ago. The painting is called The Baptism of Christ, and it was made by Ertegelder in 1710. Amazingly, his masterpiece is still causing hysteria among alien hunters and conspiracy theorist groups to this day. The painting shows John the Baptist as he baptizes Christ at the River of Jordan. There is a large crowd watching the baptism, and in the sky hovers what seems to be a UFO. Sitting above Jesus and John the Baptist is an object that looks undoubtedly like a spaceship. To make it even more convincing, the ship is beaming down rays of light directly on John and Jesus. Skeptics say the artist was merely trying to capture Matthew 3:16, which says Jesus saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove when he was baptized. But alien hunters insist the object in the sky isn't God, but instead a metallic sphere. The artist may have been trying to insinuate that Jesus Christ has some kind of connection to extraterrestrial visitors. It could all be a coincidence, but it seems really strange that a UFO from the 1700s looks exactly like UFOs described by eyewitnesses in the 21st century. Number 7. The Reshot structure. The The Reshot structure can be found hidden in the Sahara Desert, surrounded by these shifting sand dunes. It's known as the Eye of the Sahara and has been a source of mystery ever since the 1960s when it was discovered. Some have claimed the structure represents the ruins of Atlantis, while others say it's a scar left behind by a prehistoric comet. The structure was first seen by astronauts with the Gemini mission. They photographed the geological marvel and named it the Eye of Africa. It's one of the most mesmerizing features that can be seen by humans orbiting the planet. It's 650 feet tall, 25 miles wide, and it's made entirely of rock. Geologists have classified it as a domed anticline, meaning it was made from smaller rocks fused together into the unmistakable shape of an eye. Its composition isn't up for debate. We know the structure is made from a variety of different kinds of rock, but its origins are still unknown. Some say that Greek philosopher Plato was talking about a great city that once covered the Reshot structure when he described Atlantis around 360 BC. There's no physical proof, but the theory exists all the same. More rational scientists have been busy trying to figure out how it was formed naturally. They think it's 100 million years old and was made by volcanic activity. They believe the eye was once a huge cavern of magma, which ballooned up and dissolved the limestone surrounding it. This eventually caused it to collapse, leaving behind the eye. Number 6. China's Fairy Realm. Newly discovered artifacts from ancient China are pointing at a bizarre belief in a long-lost realm of fairies. At the archaeological site of Sanxingdui in Sichuan province, experts have uncovered strange bronze sculptures depicting animalistic beasts. They've also discovered other treasures made from bronze, jade, and gold. All of these artifacts were found inside a series of burial pits in the lost city and appear to have been put there as offerings. But scientists have no idea what the offerings could have been for. They also don't know who the residents of the city of Sanxingdui were or what they believed in. Inhabitants of the city vanished 3,000 years ago, and it's not entirely clear where they went. These people are one of the biggest historical mysteries archaeologists are currently investigating. They built their mighty city about 4,500 years ago and lived within its borders for 1,500 years before disappearing. That's a long time. 2 offering pits were discovered in the 1980s, and 6 more have been excavated since 2020. Over 13,000 artifacts have been discovered, and according to Jay Shu from the Asian Art Museum of San Francisco, most of them were buried as offerings to beings from another realm. Jay believes that just like other early human societies, the people here believed they could commune with a world beyond the physical one. It was a kind of fairy dimension, a shadow realm that the people of Sanxingdui hoped could help them out of a crisis. They buried all their greatest treasures, hoping the residents of the mysterious realm would come to their rescue, but we don't know what the trouble was. Number 5. Teotihuacans' ancient power plant. Nobody knows who built the pre-Aztec city of Teotihuacan. It was already ancient when the Aztec found it, and they were so amazed by the abandoned ruins of the great city that they thought it was created by a race of ancient giants. Whoever came before them had built a great city of the gods. Teotihuacan was home to an estimated 200,000 people between 100 BC and 650 AD. These people practiced brutal sacrifices and believed the underworld could be reached through secret underground passages. The 2 main features of the city are pyramids. The first is the Pyramid of the Sun, which stands 213 feet tall and is the 3rd biggest pyramid on Earth. The second is the Temple of the Moon, only measuring 147 feet tall. The positions of the temples and pyramids are not unlike the positions of the pyramids at Giza. They align with the sun and the summer solstice, showing a similar reverence for climate and fertility. The pyramids in Mexico and the pyramids in Egypt were both connected to the cosmos. What's truly unexplainable is that a rainstorm in 2003 revealed the entrance to a mysterious corridor running 60 feet beneath the main temple. Ever since, archaeologists have been busy excavating the site. One of the stranger things they found was an abundance of liquid mercury, one of the best superconductors in the world. They also found mica, which is used in modern electronics as a thermal insulator. Some accounts say the Pyramid of the Sun was once covered in mica, so it could have been used as a giant superconductor. It contains all the natural elements needed to be used as an electromagnetic power plant. It's a bit of a stretch, but not entirely impossible. Ancient alien enthusiasts say it could be that a far more superior race of beings taught the people of Teotihuacan how to turn their pyramid into an energy conductor. But what they used the energy for, and where the rest of the necessary components went, is anyone's guess. Number 4. The Bermuda Triangle. Even with all our scientific advancements, the Bermuda Triangle is still an unsolved nightmare. It's one of the most mysterious spots on the planet, a place so strange sailors have been avoiding it for centuries. It's one of the few locations where a magnetic compass doesn't work, and many have attributed this issue to the mysterious losses of multiple ships and aircraft. There appears to be a magnetic vortex which disorients vehicles and tools, though nobody understands why. What you might not know is that the Bermuda Triangle isn't technically an official area. It's a vaguely defined triangle in the North Atlantic Ocean, home to the Milwaukee Depth, the deepest trench in the Atlantic. There are pockets here that reach a depth of 27,000 feet, pits that are so deep that most shipwrecks will never be seen again. There is also the abundance of methane. Many scientists have tried to solve the mystery of the triangle using the presence of methane. Large numbers of decaying marine animals trapped at the bottom of the sea release a high concentration of methane frost. This methane occasionally hits the surface in large bubbles, which could be responsible for sinking ships and crashing airplanes. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Number 3. The Georgia Guidestones. In 1980, a very strange monument suddenly appeared in Elbert County, Georgia. The 6 huge rock slabs, weighing over 230,000 pounds, have since become known as the Georgia Guidestones. The monument stood 19 feet tall and quickly became famous as the American Stonehenge. But the mystery surrounding the Guidestones has never been solved. The thing is, nobody knows who commissioned them. This mystery has been around for 40 years, yet nobody has ever been able to crack it. The creator of the stones must have been extremely wealthy to build their own controversial monument without leaving behind a paper trail. The individual used only the pseudonym Robert C. Christian and claimed he was creating the tablets on behalf of loyal Americans. The controversy surrounding the tablets was immediate. Inscribed on these stones was a list of rules that humanity was recommended to follow. It suggested that the human population should never exceed 500 million, and that humans should be united under a single language. It also said that personal rights should be balanced with social duties. It was deemed a satanic monument and was frequently vandalized by Christian extremists. On July 6, 2022, the Georgia Guidestones were bombed. Nobody knows who bombed them, but the remaining stones were dismantled before they were taken away, and the land where they once stood has been returned to its previous owner. And now for number 2. But if you want more, be sure to stay tuned after number 1 for more things scientists can't explain, in case you haven't seen it. Number 2. Subaquatic Ship Graveyard and Noah's Ark. Archaeologist Zdravka Georgieva and a team of specialists from the Center for Underwater Archaeology in Bulgaria recently mapped the floor of the Black Sea. They did this by using highly advanced sonar technology and remotely operated submersibles. During their investigation, they were shocked to accidentally discover a Greek trading ship sitting at the bottom of the sea. It was so deep that its timbers had hardly decayed due to the lack of oxygen, so the ancient boat was in surprisingly good condition. Researchers could even see the chisel marks on the wood left behind by the original builders. Some scientists are now saying the presence of this subaquatic ship could help solve the mystery of Noah's Ark. But amazingly, the Greek trading ship isn't the only wreckage down there. It was discovered off the coast of the ancient town of Nesebar, at a place where the bottom of the Black Sea is covered in shipwrecks dating back over 3,000 years. Some have suggested these shipwrecks are evidence of a biblical flood. The theory is that thousands of years ago, the Black Sea was a small freshwater lake, but when the biblical flood came, the Mediterranean overflowed and salt water poured into the Black Sea, causing it to flood a massive area. These ships are supposedly proof of this. evidence of a sudden event that wrecked hundreds of vessels. However, nobody has been able to confirm or deny this. Most scientists don't even believe in the flood, and those who do have very little evidence to support their claim. Number 1. Zen Stones. Zen stones can be found all over the world, but especially on Siberia's Lake Baikal. It's cold and dry at the lake in the winter, and the surface is frequently frozen, so finding Zen stones is common here. These stones hover over frozen lakes as if by magic, supported by nothing but a thin and nearly invisible layer of solid ice. For years, researchers were stumped as to the physics that allowed such a fascinating natural phenomenon to occur. However, the mystery may have finally been solved. A team from the University of Lyon in France used laboratory experiments to understand the physics of the Zen stones. They believe these stones are a result of sublimation. These Zen stones might look like magic, but there is a fairly reasonable explanation for their odd behavior. The ice around the stone slowly vanishes, but the stone protects the ice directly underneath it from the rays of the sun. This results in a thin layer of ice that supports the rock even as the rest of the ice vanishes, making it look like the rock is hovering above the frozen lake. Which of these unsolved mysteries did you find the most shocking? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. In case you didn't get enough, here are some more. Number 9. Bally Shannon Sundisk. The Bally Shannon Sundisk is a small gold foil disc depicting a cross surrounded by circles and other geometric shapes. A group of men searching for a fabled grave discovered the object at a prehistoric gravesite in 1669 in Bally Shannon, County Donegal, Ireland. Although artifacts like this are called Sundisks, there is no direct evidence that they are sun symbols. They date back to 2500 to 2150 BC, and over 30 such objects have been discovered throughout Europe, including in Britain, France, Spain, and Portugal. These items are among the earliest forms of sheet goldwork in Britain and Ireland. Scholars are unsure what these prehistoric objects were used for. They're often found in pairs, and many of them have 2 holes in them, suggesting that they may have been sewn onto clothing like buttons. The Bally Shannon Sundisk is one of a very similar pair that were discovered. The surviving disc was donated to the Ashmolean Museum in 1696, but the other one's fate is unknown. Number 8. Param mummies. In 1934, Swedish archaeologists discovered Bronze Age and early Iron Age cemeteries in the Tarim Basin of China's Taklamakan Desert. They contained remarkably well-preserved mummies, courtesy of the extremely dry conditions dating back to the 1st and 2nd centuries BC, as well as advanced artifacts that, as far as researchers knew, didn't exist yet in China's Central Plains, like bronze, high-quality woolen textiles, and the wheel. The mummies possessed distinctly Caucasian features such as light-colored hair. Around 200 graves were ultimately discovered, including many in recent years. At 3,800 years old, a mummy called the Beauty of Lulon was the oldest and most famous of them all. She passed away from a lung ailment somewhere between the ages of 40 and 45 years old. There is also the Hami mummy, nicknamed the Red-Headed Beauty, the Witches of Subeshi, who wear tall, conical hats, and the Charchan man, who at 6'6" was extraordinarily tall and who was dressed like he was very wealthy. Despite gleaning some insight into what these individuals' lives were like, scientists were long puzzled about who they were and where they came from. DNA analysis revealed that they had mixed roots, including Eastern European, Central Asian, and Siberian heritage. Some of them probably spoke the Tocharian language, which was characteristic of an Indo-European people who once inhabited parts of the Tarim Basin. But more research is necessary to definitively establish their identity and culture. The early inhabitants of Eastern Central Asia did not belong to a single genetic and linguistic stock, nor did they come from a single source, explained Professor Victor Mayer of the University of Pennsylvania. They entered the Tarim Basin at different times and arrived from different directions. So figuring all of that out from such a long time ago is complicated, but not impossible. Number 7. Minaret of Jam. Built in the late 12th century in what's now Afghanistan, the Minaret of Jam is the only standing remnant of a great mosque that once stood at the site, along with a large courtyard. In fact, the minaret could be the last remaining structure of the lost Turquoise Mountain city, according to some scholars. The once thriving metropolis, which perished during the 1220s at the hands of Mongol invaders, went down in history as a great civilization and diverse melting pot. where citizens enjoyed the complete freedom to worship as they pleased. At 213 feet tall, the minaret is a long-standing testament to the society that once inhabited the region. It's one of 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites throughout Afghanistan. But 1,000 years after the minaret was erected, it faces constant danger from the harsh climate, a potential earthquake, and the wars that have ravaged the country for 3 decades and counting. Number 6. Glaucluse remains. In April of last year, international headlines buzzed about the alleged discovery of the fossilized remains of the fictional glaucluse entity created by writer H.P. Lovecraft. That's as close as I can get to pronouncing it. The scientists who discovered the small, multi-tentacled creature in Herefordshire, England, were initially baffled by the find. After all, they'd never seen anything like it. Truthfully, what they had found was an ancient sea cucumber dating back some 430 million years and hailing from the same group as the modern sea pig. So many millions of years ago, Britain was covered in water at the time. The creature was officially named Solacina Cluflu after the fabled monster. The 1.2-inch wide bottom-dwelling creature had a central armored body with 45 tentacles, which it used for crawling along the sea floor and delivering food to its mouth. Like modern sea cucumbers, it probably fed on tiny microorganisms, including algae. The discovery is extremely valuable, not for its resemblance to Cloflu, but for its potential to offer insight into the early evolution of sea cucumbers. Another recent mystery involving around the Cloflu hit the internet when images of a broken tablet with some sort of creepy octopus was found. Supposedly, someone had found this mysterious tablet along the beach. As pictures of the item were shared, people said it resembled the same creature mentioned in H.P. Lovecraft's works. Little information was available about the tablet, leaving its origins up for debate, so people started speculating it was some sort of bizarre ancient tablet for real. The truth of the matter is that all signs point toward the item being a prop or a piece of artwork related to the Call of the Cthulhu role-playing game. What do you think? Are you intrigued yet? Number 5. Whale Cemetery in the Desert. Dozens of fossilized marine animal skeletons, including baleen whales and extinct dolphins and aquatic sloths, were discovered beside the Pan-American Highway in northern Chile's Atacama Desert region in 2011. Researchers believe the remains were there for somewhere between 6 and 9 million years. Most of the skeletons were complete and showed signs of suffering similar deaths, like passing away upside down and facing in the same direction, leading experts to initially believe they all died in a single sudden catastrophe. But evidence shows that the animals succumbed to their fates in 4 separate incidents spanning several thousand years. A 2014 study concluded that harmful algal blooms are likely to blame for the mass strandings and deaths. This is the most common cause for modern marine mammal strandings and rapid deaths, which usually result from inhaling the harmful algae or consuming large quantities of contaminated prey. At the time of the animals' deaths during the Miocene, researchers believe that the coastline was situated in a way that deposited the carcasses on sand flats, possibly during high tide or by storm waves. There were likely very few terrestrial scavengers around to pick at the remains, given the dry desert habitat. But the researchers admittedly failed to conclusively determine that the harmful algal blooms caused these mass deaths. They found no algal cell fragments in the sediments, and without a smoking gun, all they can do is speculate. Number 4. Burrow carvings. During the 1960s, archaeologists encountered inexplicably strange rock carvings at the Burrow site in the Himalayan territory of Kashmir. To those who studied the puzzling artwork, which dates back several thousand years to 4,300 BC, it first looked like a hunting scene with 2 bulls and 2 suns. In 2013, a group of astrophysicists based in Germany and India posited an alternative theory that the carvings are instead a depiction of an exploding, dying star known as a supernova in the night sky. Our first argument was there cannot be 2 suns, astronomer Mayank Vahia, who participated in the study, told The Guardian. We thought it must have been an object that appeared and attracted the attention of the artists. The team searched for objects from the same time period as the carvings that were visible during the daytime and brighter than the moon in the night sky, and found supernova HB9, which exploded in 4,600 BC. To those viewing it from Kashmir, the event occurred near the Orion and Taurus constellations, further explaining the symbolism of the drawings, which feature hunters and bulls. Not only did this lead the astronomers to no longer believe that the artwork showed just a hunting scene, it caused them to theorize that its creators depicted the entire sky as they saw it. The study went unnoticed until 2018 when it made international headlines. If the team's theory is correct, the carvings constitute the world's oldest known sky chart featuring an exploding supernova, defeating the previous record from China, which dates back to 800 BC. Number 3. Ingaston. The Ingaston, also called the Itacoatiara do Inga, is a rock formation in the Inga River in northeastern Brazil's Paraíba state. Measuring 150 by 12 feet, it contains low-relief carvings of unknown origin and meaning, including figures and geometric shapes. Researchers have found signs of camps and stone workshops near the site, which were used by prehistoric peoples, perhaps as places for religious or cultural expression, from around 10,000 BC to 1400 AD. These designs may represent animals, fruits, humans, and constellations, suggesting that it may have been an astronomical chart. Some scholars believe that natives who lived in the area until the 18th century created the carvings, while others suspect that an unknown civilization was responsible for them, but nobody knows for sure. Of course, conspiracy theorists suggest that the inscriptions are a coded message from extraterrestrials, and/or that there's treasure hidden within the megalith. In 2015, the Brazilian delegation to UNESCO submitted the Inga stone for placement on the UNESCO World Heritage Site list. For now, it remains on the organization's tentative list. And now for number 7, but first, it's shout-out time! Big thank you to Sin Malloy and Edward Parkhurst for your nice comments! Hi to the family and hope you are all staying safe and healthy. Be sure to subscribe to Origins Explained if you haven't already. Number 2. Burrow Inscription. The mysterious 10-letter sequence known as the Burrow Inscription can be found on the 18th century Shepherd's Monument on the grounds of Burrow Hall in Staffordshire, England. You can see it just below an engraving of Arcadian shepherds by Nicholas Poussin. Between two subscripted outer letters, D and M, the sequence reads OUOSVAVV. It is considered one of the most complicated ciphers in the world. British Parliament member Thomas Anson commissioned the Shepherd's Monument, and it was completed sometime between 1748 and 1763. In the hundreds of years since, historians and linguists have remained puzzled about the cipher's meaning. Several famous people have tried and failed to decode the message, including Charles Darwin and Charles Dickens. And it's made numerous appearances in famous literature, including Daniel Brown's The Da Vinci Code. Out of the many theories that have emerged, perhaps the closest anyone has come to figuring out the cipher was in 2017, when linguistics expert Keith Massey theorized that the 8 central letters stand for the Latin words Ora ut omnes sequantur viam ad verum vitam, which means, I pray that all may follow the way to true life. This theory is just one of many that remain unproven. Some people believe that the inscription was created to deliberately mislead people, and that it means nothing at all. Others hypothesize that the letters point to the location of the Holy Grail. On the other hand, it's been said that the Knights Templar created the inscription as a diversion from the Holy Grail's true location. They think that you will think it's the Grail, so maybe it is, maybe it isn't. There is a chance the cipher's meaning was lost with its creators, and that we will never crack the code. Number 1. Silbury Hill. Located in Wiltshire, England, Silbury Hill is the largest artificial mound from prehistoric Europe discovered so far. This flat-topped Neolithic monument measures roughly 98 feet tall and 525 feet wide, and it was constructed using nearby soil and chalk. There were 3 building phases, the first of which started 4,000 years ago. The Bronze Age structure, which was surrounded by a ditch, was completed layer by layer over several generations in roughly a century's time. Nobody has ever proven what the mound was built for. A 2010 study proposed that it was an ancient religious center that was constructed over 15 distinct building phases. English heritage archaeologist Dr. Jim Leary, who participated in the study, said that this continuous building acted as a storytelling ritual and that its size and shape were less important than its storytelling purpose. He could be onto something. After all, as Leary explained, the ancient people's nearly obsessive urge to constantly build indicates that the construction process itself was the most important, rather than the final product. Archaeologists have tried tunneling into the mound numerous times, but each attempt damaged the mound, causing the English Heritage Charity to fill in the empty spaces and permanently seal the structure. If scientists are to ever truly get to the bottom of its purpose, they'll have to do so without fully knowing what's inside. Thanks for watching! What do you think about these incredible finds? Let me know in the comments below and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time!